Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. You love GabNet. You love the hosts and the citizen panels. In fact, you wish you could take them wherever you go. On your computer, log on to gabnet.net, where our stream is available around the clock. On your TV, GabNet is available on Roku with the same around-the-clock stream, plus all the latest episodes of GabNet programs, old favorites, videos, and tons of celebrity interviews. When you're mobile, we're on your iPhone or iPad with podcasts accessible via iTunes or Stitcher, and that same around-the-clock stream on TuneIn. If you don't want GabNet wherever you go, well, the hell with you. Go ahead, listen to your old-fashioned talk shows that do things in the same old predictable way. Meanwhile, the rest of us will be having fun listening to talk like you've never heard it before on GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before is now talk like you've never seen it before. Alex Bennett's Ramble is now in video. Log on to Alex's Facebook page at facebook.com/abennett every Tuesday through Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern and experience the Citizen Panel like never before. We put a face to people like Phil, Patrick, Renee, Kevin, Tony, Jeff, Bree, Brian, and all of our regulars. And Alex is there too in his PJs. Just be glad he isn't naked. You can be one of those people who gets seen and not just heard by calling into Skype. For more information on how to Skype us, just go to gabnet.net. You can dress any way you want, provided it's decent. GabNet is now not just talk and not just a pretty face. So why don't you add yours? GabNet needs you. Yes, GabNet needs you to call our live programs and be a part of the citizen panels. It's the most innovative talk format yet because it's not just one caller, it's a group of callers interacting with the hosts at the same time. Here's how you do it. It's simple. First, download Skype at skype.com. To install it, answer 4 simple questions: first name, last name, email address, and your choice of ID. Then launch Skype, go to Add Contacts, type in GabNet Live, and ask to be made a contact. Then you're ready to be on the Citizen Panel. If you're too lazy, well, you can always call on the phone at 347-352-0079. That's 347-352-0079. For all the information and a call button for Skype, log on to gabnet.net. At the bottom of the page, you'll find a video on how to call us and how to use GabNet. It couldn't be easier. It couldn't be more fun and exciting. We're new. We're different. But we need you to call. So for crying out loud, call or we'll kill this dog. Don't worry, Fluffy. They won't let you die. I'm not kidding. Call or Fluffy gets it. Oopsie. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey! Hey everybody, it's Alex Bennett. This is the Ramble, and I'm just sitting here waiting to get a call from the hospital to see that the operation is over with. I'll tell you more about it. I couldn't stick around because it was getting pretty late. They were supposed to put her in the operating room at 4:30, and by 6:30 they told us to be another hour and a half. So she kicked me out of the room and said, "Go home. You got stuff to do. You need some rest." And all I can do is wait. And I felt terrible about leaving, but we'll talk about that later. Hopefully before this interview we're about to do here on the program is over with, I may get a call from the doctor and find out what the hell happened. Okay? Meanwhile, we've got an ex-wife to talk to. Ladies and gentlemen, looky there, wearing a lovely hat It's Ronnie Bennett. Hi, Ronnie.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. I would have gone into the whole ex-wife thing, but we've done that enough already. But sometimes people wonder, why is her name Bennett and his name is Bennett? And the reason is she had hers legally changed. And mine is simple.
It's too don't even go there. It's too complicated.
It's the one good thing you got from me.
What, a name?
Out of the marriage, yeah.
Well, I've often said I wouldn't do it now, but then I needed to.
Yeah. So anyway, how are you doing?
I'm okay.
As we all know, she has cancer. Shall we just say it? Or we won't.
Untreatable cancer.
Untreatable cancer.
Yes.
I hate that term. So do you.
Yeah. Certainly. Yeah, me too.
I always thought everything was treatable, or they could attempt to treat it.
Well, and treatable in this sense, let me just say this clearly, is that every 2 weeks I'm taking chemotherapy, and that cannot cure these cancers, which the chemotherapy last year seemed to do with the surgery to some degree. Mm-hmm. What this does is delay the growth of the tumors, so I have a little bit longer healthy time before the cancer really kicks in.
Yeah.
So, as long as I can tolerate the chemo, it gives me time that I wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah. But, I mean, when they say it's inoperable, it just seems to me that everything is operable. Maybe not with success, but that it's operable.
Well, then why would you even attempt if you knew it couldn't be successful?
Why wouldn't they operate on the tumors, for instance, to try and remove the tumors?
Because they can't. That's all.
You mean...
Just let it go, please.
Okay. No, I don't want to get into it.
I did a whole column on my blog yesterday about everybody's got a goddamn cancer cure.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about, because I read that and I thought it was an amazing piece of writing, and I thought it was an important piece of writing, and I felt that it was something you had to tell people about here today. And that is that all these people that have their so-called cancer cures, who somehow, because, I don't know, I guess they read your blog or whatever, start sending you these emails touting their potions and liquids and witch incantations.
Right. And, I mean, to my readers' credit, is that the ones that were sent to me via the contact link on my blog, these are not any names I recognize. They are not people who comment regularly that I've gotten to know,
right,
or written me emails before. They're strangers. Mm-hmm. So they troll the web, looking for people who might be desperate with cancer that would do anything. And, I think that in my case, I've been pretty straight ahead about what's happened to me.
You're right.
I hate the phrase terminal, but that's exactly what it is. And I don't believe in miracle cures. And the most important thing about that is that if there were miracle cures for cancer, we would all know about it. And they would not be secret.
And there would be a new billionaire on the
or a whole bunch
horizon.
Of them. Yes, yeah. Exactly. And so, I'm going with these people. One of my nurses at OHSU, I'd say she's in her early 60s. She's always been an oncology nurse. Always.
Wow.
She's got more knowledge about cancer than anybody, I mean, how many hundreds, maybe thousands of patients has she had over the years? She knows a lot.
Well, how great a person is she? Because she has decided to take a part of medicine which I would consider to be very depressing.
Mm-hmm. Lots of people. I mean, we've gotten better and better over the years at being able to cure some kinds of cancers if you get them early enough. Better than when we were young, when you and I were young. But mostly people die of cancer.
Well, they always talk about curing cancer, and I always said, well, that's a kind of weird term, because cancer is an overall umbrella term for a whole bunch of different diseases that do approximately the same thing, but in entirely different ways. Mm-hmm. And so how do you say you're going to cure cancer? You can't find just one thing that's going to cure them all.
Here's what happened, Alex. When you and I were young, in our 20s, teens, 20s.
Oh, by the way, folks, in case you're listening, yes, we're talking about cancer. That's a good, uplifting topic that everybody wants to hear.
Let me
Go ahead.
make
Go
this
ahead.
clear.
Go ahead.
When you and I were young, after World War II and into our teens and our 20s, what happened in that period of time is that science just went fabulously crazy and invented vaccines for just about every childhood disease that you and I were subjected to, or might have died from if we'd gotten them when we were little kids. And now, just about every childhood disease can be controlled with vaccines. I don't even want to go to the anti-vaxxers. This is not part of the discussion
Fuck
today.
them.
But everybody assumed that cancer would be next in those days. I certainly did. Most people did. And do you remember back then in the 50s, people whispered the word cancer? You didn't say it out loud. There was something you couldn't really talk about cancer. But it's certainly because of the huge success with vaccines for childhood diseases, expected cancer to be next. Well, here we are 50, 60 years later, and it's not done yet.
Right.
And I got caught. I mean, both of my parents died of cancer, and the same kind of cancer that I have, in the case of my father. And I smoked for a lot of years. So, shit happens.
Yeah, my father died of, pituitary tumor when he was 59. And my mother lived to be over 100.
Right.
And she survived by just being annoying. So
there is that. Excuse me, one of my little side effects here is a runny nose.
Oh, okay. These people who come up with these phony cures and then prey on people, say, like you, by writing you, and knowing somehow you have cancer. I mean, their greatest talent is
I haven't made a secret of it online. No. You can look up cancer and I'll turn up.
But we could say their greatest talent is not curing cancer, but preying on people with it. That they manage to seek them out.
I think part of the danger is, when I see these things that come in, I know exactly what they are immediately. But that's because I've accepted what's happened to me, that many, many cancer patients are desperate. They want a few more days, some more weeks, maybe more years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're desperate for anything. And that changes how your brain works. You start to believe in things that you wouldn't otherwise. Mm-hmm. And it's a terrible, terrible thing to prey on people like that. And they spend all the money that they've got on these expensive that aren't going to do anything.
Look at people like Steve McQueen and the like that we know publicly.
Somebody mentioned him to me on my blog. What about Steve McQueen and cancer?
If I remember correctly, he went down to South America chasing a cure.
I see. Okay. I don't remember that.
Yeah, among other things. And there was who else was there? No, there wasn't anybody else that I know of. Andy Kaufman dabbled a little bit in looking for cures, but eventually just realized they were all phony. He went to the Philippines where the guys who will put their hand in your body and they'll pull out this chicken, and tell you that they've cured your cancer. Right. And he went back thinking, well, I guess I'm cured now, and then went to see a doctor who said, no. It's just
sad. It's really sad,
it's sad because you get.
Thing, and I think I said in my column yesterday that I really, I've never hoped for such a thing before, but I hope there's a hell for these people. They are evil, they are despicable, they are terrible, terrible people.
Yeah,
and they're making themselves rich over people who are desperate.
Yeah.
And they don't, and it's all fake, and I just think it's awful.
But some people should go to your blog, which is timegoesby.net, and read what you wrote about it. You showed a lot of different things that you knew about that people had offered you, like snake venom?
No, that wasn't offered to me. But when I was looking around for things online, there's one company or person or something that claims to be able to cure cancer that uses snake venom. Then now you're into faith healing, and
faith healers there's a special place in hell for faith healers too, as far as I'm concerned.
So, and same thing for these guys, so it's, I don't know.
You said
it's just awful, and I just wanted to say something about it. So
you say the government closed down about 20 of them or something. There was a whole.
No, they didn't close them down. There's apparently I didn't look deeply into it because I have cancer and I don't have a lot of time. But what the FDA did 2 years ago was send out letters to, I think it was 14 companies for something like 50 products, 40 or 50 products that they were selling that had no, absolutely no, can't cure cancer, but were claiming that it could prevent, treat, or cure cancer. Mm-hmm. And if you go to Wikipedia and type in something like phony cancer cures or something, they have a huge long list of more than 100 of known phony cancer cures, either been disproved or never tested. And
well, your theory is the best. If somebody had invented a cure for cancer, they would be a millionaire by now, and everybody would be eating a patent.
No, it would not be a secret.
Your doctor would be using it for you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So, there's a cure out there, but we're not going to use it? Come on. Give me a break. Would you like to know why I'm wearing a hat?
Well, yes, I'm beginning to suspect why you're wearing a hat, but why are you wearing a hat?
I have no hair, or very close to no hair.
Now, you only started doing this chemo 2 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
Or two times ago, about a month ago.
3 weeks ago. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, 4 weeks ago, a month ago. And last time you did chemo, you didn't lose your hair.
Well, last year when I had chemo, it got thinner, but not so much that I couldn't have a reasonable hairstyle.
Yeah.
This time, you've heard it all your life. You've read it somewhere.
Comes out in clumps?
Somebody's talking about their chemo and their hair came out in handfuls.
Yeah.
It's exactly how it happens. I was in the shower washing my hair, and this giant handful of hair came out. I mean, huge, draped down. And, of course, the first thing you think, at least if you're me, is, God, don't drop it. You'll never get it cleaned out of the drain. And I kept doing it, and more and more and more and more kept coming out. I had a pile on the edge of the tub, like, this of hair this deep.
I didn't think it would happen that fast.
The rest of it stayed, but I had these little hanks of hair sticking out in weird places, so I just cut them all off, and I've got hair about this long.
Well, don't feel bad. Look.
Yeah. See, I would prefer to have a smooth top like yours than this little sprouting that I have.
Well, you can shave.
Well, I'm betting. I have another chemo session tomorrow. I'm betting I lose the rest of it this time.
Here's what happened. The hardest part for me when I started losing my hair was, I do have hair up here. If you feel there's like hair, okay?
Do you shave it?
I shave it. But the first time I had to shave it was an admission of something. Then, to begin with, I had a friend, he's gone now, Bob Schimmel, who was a comedian, and I was wearing my hair so that it was down here, right? But I was losing it up here.
Ben Franklin?
Yeah, and he said, cut it short, really short. I said, why? He says, that's preemptive baldness, that you look better, when you cut your hair short. You don't have a Danny DeVito look, when you cut your hair short. So then I started cutting it short. And, of course, I was like this up there. But, of course, I was keeping every inch of what I could. And finally I just said, I'll shave it. And I shaved it.
Do you use an electric razor or a hand razor?
I use for that, I use a regular hand razor because it's too close to the head, right? But for the beard and everything, I use a trim.
Well,
and for the rest of it, I use a barber.
Oh, okay. But I'm not really very upset about this. I mean, given my predicament, losing my hair is not a big thing. Not at all.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
And you know something?
A lot of hats, and tomorrow I'm going shopping for a wig.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that hat with all those feathers coming out of it.
I think it's kind of cute.
Well, yeah, but on video it kind of looks like, I don't know. It's okay.
I'm not taking it off.
I'm not asking you to. But here's the best part about you going bald. You're not graying anymore.
I was so white there was nowhere to go.
Yeah.
It saves in shampoo. You don't have to buy shampoo anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I had just bought a new bottle of shampoo when this happened.
Oh no.
And I don't need it now. And it's easier. You don't have to spend a lot of time on your hair. Of course, my poor hair cutter loses me as a client.
Yeah. So you're gonna get a wig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but sometimes a hat. And let me tell you, this is serious. Sometimes a hat isn't. You just don't want to wear a hat for one reason or another.
Yeah.
So you wear a wig. And the reason for me not to go bald, we're accustomed to old men being bald, even young men being bald who shave their heads. And some young model type women, gorgeous women, go bald for periods of time, and that's very dramatic. But for somebody my age to go around with a bald head hanging out, the first thing people think is, chemotherapy, and they don't know what to say to you. They get scared, and they don't know the right thing to say. So I want to avoid that.
When a woman gets it young, there are many different little afflictions that can make you go bald. And so some women who have gone bald embrace it, but they're 35, or they're 30.
But when you're old, there's only one reason a woman goes bald.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put people in that position because it's hard to have a conversation when people don't know what to say.
Yeah, yeah. So better to wear the wig, right, rather than start the conversation.
I don't have to wear it all the time.
So when you get the wig, are you
going
to get a gray wig, or are you going to get a fully hair-colored wig?
Oh, no. I want as near to my regular color I am now as possible.
Yeah.
I would look dumb with brown hair, or something.
Well, you should have saved some of that hair from the bathroom. You could take it with you to the wig store and say, match this.
I want to tell you something. I have a friend who has a 6-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
And some little kids just awe you. They're just awesome. And about a little over a year ago, her daughter came to her and said that she'd heard about a girl her age and who had red hair like her. Not very many kids have red hair and freckles. And that she has cancer and she'd lost all her hair. And she said, Mom, I want to grow all my hair real long so that I can have a wig made for some young girl like me. So she grew her hair and grew her hair and grew. And I've got pictures of her with hair halfway down her back. And then just this week, she snipped off all the hair, and she found a wig maker who would make a wig from her daughter's hair for a young girl with cancer who needs it. Isn't that the nicest thing?
That's the nicest thing. Well, there's a thing called Locks of Love that does this.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, there's an organization called Locks of Love, and they literally have people grow their hair long, and people donate their hair to them.
And this was not that, and that's not what's important.
And she did it on her own, which is wonderful.
Yes. And they found a local wig maker who knows somebody, a little girl like her, who had red hair before she lost it, and now will have a wig of red hair.
Well, what about her friend? Did her friend die, or?
Pardon me?
What about her friend? Didn't you want? Friend? She said she had a friend who had cancer, who had red hair.
No. She heard about someone.
I see. Okay. So, wow, what a wonderful, classy kid.
I think that's just fabulous. I love that.
It's a real classy kid. Wow. Brought really up just right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wonderful. But I don't know. I just, it's a whole process you're going through. And I find it at one point for me depressing, okay? And for another part of me, revelatory and a lesson.
A lesson?
Yeah, because you're teaching me how to deal with this, and you're dealing with it so well,
Well, you don't see me when I'm not on.
I know I'm sure you've got one face for the world and one face for your mirror, But I'm saying that what you're writing is so important and so revelatory for people, because this is a process we're all going to go through on some level. I mean, we may not go through it if suddenly we get hit by a car or we get that heart attack and drop dead right there, But most of us, you say, what percentage of Americans get cancer? 40%, did you say?
It's about 40% of the population,
yeah. and there are other diseases which are degenerative diseases, and you're kind of creating a roadmap for the rest of us.
Let me tell you something wonderful that happened. Mm-hmm. Since I started this blog almost 15 years ago,
yeah,
I've used a company called TypePad to publish it.
Yeah,
and I pay them every year for the privilege, and so enough people, quite a lot of people, have said, "Don't let this blog go away. That it's got a lot of great information in it." And I think they're right, and I think you're right about that. So last week I sat down and I sent an email, because they don't take phone calls at TypePad. There's this wonderful 7 or 8 or 9, I don't know how many, people who are helpers, and you do it by an online email kind of thing.
Right.
And so I was stuck with that because I couldn't find a phone number. So I wrote to them, and I explained my predicament, is what I'm calling it, and I had a few questions of how could I continue this and have it be there indefinitely for people to go and look through if they want, and figure out how I could pay for it so somebody else doesn't have to keep paying for it, and what would that cost. And within less than a day, I got a note, and I know it's been so many years, I know the names of all these customer helpers, I know every one of them via this email thing. They wrote back and said they were going to flip it to a free account. And they were very sorry about my diagnosis, that they loved my blog and blah, blah, blah. This is a for-profit company.
Now, let me ask you, TypePad, do they also put it online for you, or is that something you do yourself?
No, they do all the publish. There's a program, that the back end where I put all my stuff, and I can program it. I can schedule it to be published, and they make it happen.
So it's timegoesby.net. They put that online for you.
Yes, there's a different company from which I buy that name, that I pay for the name. And there's also a different company that I use to send out the email subscriptions. But TypePad publishes the whole thing, and I have a back end where I can, set it up and put in.
But what I'm saying is that URL is up there because of TypePad, and so that's what's going to continue.
Well, no, the URL I own. It has to be paid for.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah.
And then, they need the URL, but that's not the important point.
So how are you going to keep the URL going?
It has to be paid for. I haven't taken care of that yet.
Yeah.
I also haven't taken care of my cremation. It's one damn phone call, and I don't know why I haven't done it. Yeah. But I want to say this out loud.
Okay.
It is a lot of work to get ready to die. It is really hard, all the stuff I have to do.
Well, you've always been very organizational.
Yeah, well, I'd like not to spend what time I have left being organized.
Yeah.
But all of my household accounts and my financial accounts and my banking accounts and all that, the woman who's going to take care of everything when I die has to know all this stuff, and passwords, and when things get paid, and what accounts they get paid from, and what needs to be canceled. And it's just, I'm making a little book for her.
Yeah. But that's your organizational part of you, Used to do the same thing for me, used to keep all the notes about who was going to be on when, and, things I needed to know and whatever.
Well, I couldn't remember. You have to write it down,
I always kept it up here, but it doesn't work.
Well, you've got a better memory,
it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, that comes to us all.
But it really is I think what you're writing is just very important. And all I'm saying is that, you could probably pay for the URL for the next 10 years or something and just keep the thing up. Yeah.
Well, I will get it. It's on my list. I've got a list here of all these things I have to do.
Yeah, but that's very nice of TypePad. So
Yes.
everybody, if you need to do a
They were-
blog,
they're wonderful people. And by the way, they then also sent me, from all of the helpers, all signed it, a snail mail card.
really,
Yes.
I hope it wasn't a get well card, because that doesn't exactly.
No, it's a lovely, lovely card. And it just, these are just terrific people. I've never met them. I don't know what they look like. I've never seen a photograph of them. All I know them is from their helping me out when I didn't know how to do something.
So as long as you've got the URL, they'll make sure that site keeps going.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Not a big thing.
Because, if I drop dead tomorrow, there's no GabNet anymore. It just,
Is GabNet your domain?
it's my domain. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought it was like TypePad.
No, GabNet's my own domain.
Okay.
Gabnet.net. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And I got more use out of it than alexbennett.com. Which is out there, folks, if you ever want to check it out. There's nothing there, but go ahead and check it out. Hey, listen, I just looked, and another 26 minutes have passed. And look at what we've been talking about.
We're just chatterboxes, you and me.
We're just chatterboxes. I love these chats we have every other week, and we will continue them as long as you want to continue them.
As long as I can.
As long as you can. And, let's, by this time, next time, will you have a wig by then, or?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, because then we can see what her wig looks like.
That's right.
And then decide whether she should just be wearing the hat. Anyway, Ronnie, thank you so much. It's Ronnie Bennett,
welcome.
ladies and
Thank
gentlemen.
you.
TimeGoesBy.net is her blog. Thank you, Ronnie. Bye.
Bye.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Let me just get my picture up. There we go. Okay, I had a little problem there. I'm out of it again tonight. But I'll tell you what happened today, and then we'll get on with the show, the program. I don't like to call it a show. I never call it a show. So if you ever see it as the Alex Bennett Show, no, it is not the Alex Bennett Show. It is Alex Bennett Program, or I refer to what I do here as a program. Anyway, let me just I'll turn on the Skype line while I tell you this. So today we had to get her there at the operation was supposed to be at 4:30. We had to get her there at 2:30 so they could do all the pre-op stuff and everything. So we got there, and they did all the pre-op stuff, and they put her in one of those ugly gowns, and they took all the information and checked your temperature, which seemed to be a little on the high side, but then it was lower than they thought it originally was, but everything was okay. And then all of a sudden the guy comes in and says, listen, they're running a little behind because your doctor had a operation that took longer than he expected. So it looks like your estimated waiting time from 4:30, which was the time we were supposed to be doing it, is been changed to about 2 hours later. So I didn't want to leave her alone. Hello, Phil. So
Hey,
I didn't want to leave her alone, and so I just stayed there. I mean, and she's sleeping. They put her on a litter, right? And she's sleeping. So it's kind of like I don't know what I'm doing there. I mean, she's sleeping and whatever. Anyway, I wait around with her for about another hour and a half, and they come to us and they say, "Oh, it's going to be another hour and a half." So she finally says to me, "Look, go home. There's nothing you can do here, and go home and do what you got to do." Because I was exhausted, and I needed some sustenance in me because I hadn't had any food in me, and so I left her, and I felt guilty about it. I just said, "Look, I really don't want to go," and she says, "No, go. There's nothing you can do here right, that will make it any better. Plus, as I say, she was sleeping through a lot of it, so it didn't matter whether I was there or not. So I came home. When I came home, I felt so guilty about having left, even though she implored me to leave, that I didn't know what to do. And I was just, and I tried to call her, but I couldn't call her because the hospital only has Wi-Fi. It doesn't have phone service in it. And so you have to make your call through Wi-Fi. And so I tried to call her, but she obviously didn't have her Wi-Fi on. I just want to say one more time, I love you. I hope everything's going to be okay. I just want you to know I'm here with you and so on. And I got so guilty about that, I said, fuck it, I'm going back to the hospital. I did my posting of my shows, all the things I had to do. I still got 3 hours before the show. It's enough time to go back down to the hospital, pop into the room, say hi, and kiss her one more time and leave, all right? So I go outside. There's not a cab. Nothing. No cabs. It's raining to begin with, so you try and get a cab in New York City when it's raining. And I go out there, and finally this cab goes by me with his light on, and he just goes right by me. I give him the finger. You know, like, come on, you know, you have your light on. There's nobody in the back seat. Why didn't you stop? And then he stops. So I figured, oh, fuck him. He got my finger. I'll stop him and then get in the car. So I get in and I tell him where I want to go. He says, okay. He starts driving down the street. And about halfway down the street, he pulls over to the side. He said, I got to stop here. I got to get some mail. And I said, fuck you. You know, and I just...
Too bad you didn't get the cash cab.
Yeah, so I just got out and I looked and there were no more cabs. So I just said, look, I shouldn't feel guilty about it. She implored me to go, saying, you know, hey, there's nothing more you can do here. You look tired. You've been a good husband all along on this deal. Just go home and rest. And, you know, the doctor will call you when it's over with. So what I'm doing now, because that was at like 6:30. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. I'm trying to add Patrick, and I can't.
You're gonna get a call before the show's over. Then.
You know, yeah, I can't get Patrick to call. Oh, hold on a second. Let me hang up on Patrick, and then let me try to call him. Okay, let's see if I can get him to pick up. Patrick, if you're out there, pick up. Okay, because your phone, your Skype is ringing. You there? Oh boy. Let me try it again here.
If he's using the new Skype, remember all the problems I was having with getting an error message?
Yeah.
There on the new Skype, there's a thing called suggested, and if you click on the suggested, that's when I got the error message. But if I went down and actually chose GapNet out of the thing, then it went through.
You're not there, are you, Patrick? No, he's not. Let me see here. No, well, here comes somebody else. Let me see here. Let me see here. I'm trying to do that. There. Oh, Vernon Nunn's okay. You there, Vernon? Yep, he's there. Let me add Patrick to the call and see what happens. Patrick, finally. I don't know what was going on there. Hey, and there's Vernon. Vernon, thank you very much for the note. That was a very nice note today.
You're welcome.
Sent to us. And hello, Patrick, a guy who's in a wheelchair, so you know what my wife's going through. And but anyway, so, oh boy, here comes Jeff Stein. All right, it's all working okay. All right. Anyway, hi, Jeff.
Hey.
So I just came home, and I was, but I've been, you know. I guess it's times like these you realize how much you really love somebody and you worry about them. And, you know, me being there wouldn't have done anything. And once she goes into the operating room, I could stay there, but I wouldn't do anything. So, you know, I hope he didn't get around to doing it till 11 o'clock tonight. Then I can go over to the hospital and see her in recovery, you know. But I just, you know, It's just we wanted it to be over with already, you know, and it just wasn't that easy because we're still we did everything on time. We left the house at 1. Okay, we got there by 2. We made sure we were there in time, or 1:30. Got there by 2, and we had to be there by 2:30. And then we're sitting around, we're waiting, and then they say another 2 hours, and then another hour and a half.
She was able to sleep, right?
Oh yeah, she was able to sleep. What they did is she was in a chair, and she said, "This is uncomfortable." They said, "Let's see if we can get you a litter," you know, and they found one, and they put her in another room with that, and she was lying down, and you know, I'd look over every now and then, she's falling dead asleep. So you know, I just felt bad about leaving her there. You know, and yet I was trashed myself, and I needed to get home, and I had to do some stuff in order to do a show tonight. And then when I figured I could do it, I had enough time. I thought I'd go back, but I knew that if I went back, she'd probably already be out of that room and in pre-op or whatever. But whatever. So, you know, that's the way things are. Somehow I feel guilty. You know.
Recently having an operation, I really didn't want anybody, while they were moving me here and moving me there. I didn't want anybody there, you know?
Yeah,
she may feel the same way.
You're agreeing with the same thing, Patrick.
Yeah, the only one that I wanted somebody there for was for my spinal surgery years ago. That was a major operation.
Yeah.
So my folks there to talk to, just to kind of keep my mind off of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't anticipate being paralyzed, but just the big surgery. But every surgery I've had since then, I've gone in on my own. You know, like my kidney stones, and that they're minor little things. And what's the point of having somebody wait for you? And that type of surgery is a day surgery. So I went at 7 a.m. and I'm home by 2 in the afternoon.
Actually, if he had done this in the morning, this would have been a day surgery. She would have been home in the evening. But because it's so late, she's going to be in the hospital overnight. So.
It sounded like he was fitting her in. You know, when they said, we have this guy, and I can take her on Friday. It was like,
yeah. He fit her in,
Yeah.
And I asked the nurse, you know what I said? I said, it worries me a little bit because, I mean, he seems like he's had a lot of operations today and a lot of long ones. I said, is he up to the task after doing that many? And she said, these guys know how to pace themselves. She said, they're real professionals. And she says, after they do an operation, they take a break to relax and take it easy and everything so they're ready for the next one. That's part of that waiting time, she said, so don't worry about it. In fact, I talked to a friend of Marjorie's just tonight who said that when she went in for her knee operation, they didn't get around to her till midnight.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes, Patrick.
My back surgery took 16 hours.
That's crazy to think that somebody could work for 16 hours straight under stress like that.
That's the thing. That's just like the reason I brought it up is what Alex said. Is they paced themselves, and I'm sure what it was that they were doing the surgery in 4 or 6 hour blocks, and then the doctor would take a break, and then continue on. But yeah, when you think of 18 hours, think of from right now what time it is. And 18 hours from now,
I know that's crazy.
Done. It's crazy. I couldn't believe it. That it was.
But how did you feel? Can I ask you this? I'm not asking you how you felt being operated on, how the recuperation of the operation, but here you are, 16 hours, you say, under the knife, and equal to that under the sedation. What's it like when you come out of 16 hours of sedation?
Well, that was the thing is, I may have mentioned this before years ago, but when I woke up, I didn't feel any different than I did from any other surgery. I mean, I was groggy as hell, and just more, and it's like a heaviness on you. More so than, prior surgery. But the thing is, I was awakened at about 7 a.m. by a doctor doing rounds, and it wasn't my doctor, just a floor doctor doing rounds, and he's the one that said, I hope you like being in a wheelchair, because you're going to be there the rest of your life.
Oh, what a way to tell you that.
That's how I woke up, and when you asked how did it feel, let me tell you, whatever weightiness I had left, because I was shocked then, and it wasn't my surgeon. And when my surgeon came in a few hours later after he had gotten some sleep, you know, I told him what it, and there was some, let's say, professional problems that were happening between the two doctors. So, you know, I never got the chance to come out of the anesthesia in a normal, slow way.
Yeah.
So it was pretty shocking and not cool.
Now
This guy had a hard-on for the other surgeon and decided to make your life miserable?
I don't know.
Well, that's certainly not a bedside manner. You know,
No, but my doctor, my surgeon, had no bedside manner either.
Hey, Patrick, you like walking?
Right.
Well, you better figure out something else to do with your time. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of the most shocking things that happened to me. It's just being told it in that way.
Jeff, you've been under the knife and you've been under anesthetic, which under what do you call it? You were put out.
Amnesia. No, not amnesia.
Anesthesia.
How long were you out for?
Pretty extensive as far as the time, which really affects it a lot. But my wife says when I woke up from this major surgery, she goes, I could not even wake up, and finally I kind of wake up a little bit, and I could say like one word. That was the only word that would come out of my mouth.
Is that due to the stroke?
And yeah, and the other part was, she said I looked like I was 40 years older than I was the day before.
Wow.
Yeah, my mother said that to me. My mother said that I had aged. I looked, I don't think it was 40 years, but she said I looked a lot older than 27 when I came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think just being in a hospital can do that to you. You know, like when I went for 4.5 days, I can't say I came out the same way I went in. You know, I felt just a bit, very tired. It took me, just for 4.5 days, it took me several weeks to kind of get back to a certain amount of energy, you know.
Part of that could have been all the drugs caused you to be constipated.
Well, those were good drugs. Those were great.
Yeah, I'm sure they were, but
Those were
they
great.
have an effect.
Anytime they say to you, well, how much pain do you have? Say 10. Okay, just say 10.
Hey, you know, I tried that.
Because one time I said 5 to them, and I went, what is this? This is like a
Tylenol.
slight buzz. You know, it's like Tylenol. So then I said 10, and man, I was flying. You know? And I was also in the palliative care ward, which really put me off because, you know, the first thing I said to somebody when they said, you're in palliative care, I said, is there something you're not telling me?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they probably have the best drugs.
And he said, yeah, what we're not telling you is we didn't have a room for you anywhere else, and this is what we had, where we had a bed, and you're very lucky because it's got the big TV set and, you know, the you're going to die suite, you know. So, I didn't really, at no point was I put out because I wasn't being operated on. They were just simply there trying to get a kidney stone to pass. And in the meantime, they had to give me all this wonderful drug, Dilaudid. And I would just say 10. And because I was in palliative care, they are very good at giving you whatever painkiller you want because they're used to it, right? So if I said 10, I got 10.
Did they give you last rites?
No.
They're good at that, too.
No, but I had people in other rooms who were making loud moaning noises.
Oh boy.
They were having sex.
Yeah, and because we were all in this one huge room that was curtained off, or it was partitioned, or I can't remember, but it was partitioned.
Yeah.
And there was a guy in another area that was moaning like crazy, and I wanted to just yell, "Will you shut the fuck up?" But he was dying after all, so let him make his noise. But I felt buyer's remorse in a way, or whatever you would call it, because there I am in palliative care watching the big 27-inch flat screen TV that they give you in palliative care, and all the channels I'm getting for free, all right? And these people are getting the same thing, but they're dying, okay? And I felt kind of guilty about that. Are
you sure that they had the cable package that they wanted?
They better have.
I'd want the porno channels at least. I want to go out that way.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Hell yeah.
By the way, I want to make a note of something. We had the interview with Ronnie, and for those people who don't like to hear a discussion about dying of cancer, which she is, too bad, because if I can't do that on a podcast, where can you do it?
It was an excellent interview.
Where else can you do it?
And she's very brave.
Yeah, and the day afterwards, she went in for a chemo, and they also did a CT scan, and the a tumor has gotten larger in her lung. So, they're putting her on a different chemo, which may extend her life to a year before she really has really bad effects from the tumors. But we know she's dying. That's a given. And
it reminded me, you were talking several months ago or last year about these drugs that people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get 3 more months.
Yes.
And obviously Ronnie is not falling for any of that stuff.
Well, no, those are the real drugs. Those are the ones that advertise on the news that will extend your life if you have cancer. And then you look at the fine print and it says average time extended like 2.5 weeks or something like that.
Right.
And you're going,
yeah, exactly.
And then I look up the price of it online and it's like $30,000, and I'm going, $30,000 for 2.5 weeks? Yes, Brian.
Just going to say, states like Oregon, I think they've expanded right to die legislation.
Well, that's what she's going to do.
Okay. Where'd she live?
She lives in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
Lake Oswego, more particularly.
So she's going to seek out someone who'll give her like medication.
Oh, she's already talked to him about it. Yeah. She said when the pain.
I heard they give you a pill or something to swallow to, so that you can essentially kill yourself on your own terms.
Well, well, she said to them, when will I know it's time? He said, we've found that people know when it's time. When it's time to do that. The pain is enough, or, whatever, you just don't want to have to go through anymore. And, you'll make the decision at the time it needs to be made. We don't have to make it for you.
I wonder if they have to do that, or if people feel comfortable doing that when like loved ones are around them, and it's
look,
it's not good anyway.
And again, we're talking about a subject here which maybe is not going to make a lot of listeners happy, but again, if you can't do it on podcast, where can you do it?
Are you getting people?
Yeah, not everything is sunshine and lollipops.
What'd you say? What'd you say, Rob?
Are you getting feedback from people if they don't like it?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Not at all. But I was thinking about it.
It is brave and it's fascinating, and I listen to them and I watch her, and what I get from her is a sense of loneliness, because we can all listen and try to empathize, but she's going through it, and there's a sense of being alone in that when I listen to it. And she puts on a brave face, and you said something about, you put on a brave face, and she says, well, you don't see me when I'm not on video. And I can only imagine that loneliness of what she's going through and everything she's trying to do and put her life in order and all that, and it's
well, on a
touching.
Positive side, we can say, well, this is our last great adventure. However, I'd rather not have that adventure. But the fact is that it's also the one other thing in life we do alone.
Exactly.
You know,
The
I don't
thing
care how
is-
many people are around you, how many people love you, how many people think you're wonderful. You're the one that's dying. And in this particular case, she knows there's an expiration date, you know.
And that's why I say it's lonely, because she has to go through it alone.
Yeah.
When my ex's father died of cancer, we were at the hospital, and it was just a short time that he went into the hospital, and then things started shutting down, and he knew it was coming. It was something mentally that he accepted and welcomed, you know, then all of a sudden the lungs start filling with water, and he died.
Yes, Patrick. I mean Patrick. Brian.
Yeah, it's just it's a stray thought. Don't read too much in it. But what if, you know, people who were going through that, who decided to take their own lives on their own terms using medication that would do that, what if they got together with other people who made the same decision so that they won't feel quite as alone? They'll be with other people who feel the same way, and they all just die at the same time.
You're still alone. I'm not saying
Still alone.
She may
the
not.
journey, the journey when you cross over is alone.
Then they say to each other, you know, I'll see you on the other side. You know, if that
There is
helps,
no
if
other
that
side.
has any coping
But you have to
mechanism.
believe there's another side. Yes, Patrick.
I don't, but you know, those who do.
Yeah.
I can say this much. I mean, it's a different relation to what Ronnie's dealing with, but I was on a floor when I had my spinal surgery where either 14 or 16 other people who were in the same exact predicament, different variations of paralysis, but at least not able to walk. And it didn't matter, because I was going through what I was going through on my own.
Right.
And even when we were in therapy together, you would have somebody working on one table and somebody else. You could encourage each other. And that's what a lot of us did, because we became, you know, fairly good acquaintances. But in the end, I'm still struggling with what I'm struggling with, and somebody else is. So the camaraderie is there, Brian, but it is still you're a one-man band. It's the way it is.
I don't know.
I figured the answer would be just a thought, though.
I don't know what Ronnie expects. I think she may want some people there when she doesn't. Maybe not have them in the room with her, but you know, maybe be in the other room and so on. I've seen little documentaries on this about the way they do it in Oregon, and that sometimes there are people in the other room waiting for the thing to pass. You know. It's really no different than her passing from just the cancer itself, except that she's chosen the time to do it. You know, and I don't know if I would be brave enough to do it. Although I don't know what I would do if the pain got bad enough. I think there may be a point at which the pain gets bad enough that you just go, I don't want this anymore. You know,
I don't know how you can handle it, but you know what I've seen is that they give you so much in the way of drugs or morphine that you don't know what's going on.
This is the pill kill.
No, when they don't
pill.
have the death
in states that don't have that either, like PA.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about my ex's father, my mother's second husband.
Yeah,
he also had cancer and passed away, and his daughter was the one that told him while he was in the hospital, "You're going to pass, and you probably only have a few hours left."
Yeah,
and the last thing he said was, "No shit."
Yeah, you know, I mean, I mean, I just don't know if I were in that position whether I could take the pill or not.
I could see my last words being something to the effect of, "Let's just get this over with."
Yeah, well, it sounds like Gary Gilmore when he got shot in Utah. That's exactly what he said, was let's get it over with.
I said those very same words before in my freshman year of high school when I got involved in my very first fight. Yeah. Let's just get this shit over with.
Get this shit over with. Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, I mean, I don't know. You know, I have such a fear of dying that it's a hard topic for me. And it's kind of a hard thing, you know.
Alex, I fear the dying process, the being gone. It doesn't faze me, but knowing that you're slipping away and not coming back from it, that disturbs me a little.
Being gone bothers me because I want to cling to life. On the other hand, I have not been totally appreciative of life. I've always been fearful. I've always had all kinds of I'm depressed about life and so on, and yet I want to cling to it. I've never been able to figure that one out. I'm surprised I haven't taken a pipe to myself.
Yeah, I see it as after you've lost consciousness, after you've lost all consciousness whatsoever, I don't see how it makes a difference. But it's that slipping away into losing your consciousness, into being, you know, in a position where you're not going to pull yourself back up from. I
think that moment of dying probably is very pleasant. Oddly enough, it's a.
That's why I hope I do it in my sleep.
It's maybe maybe it's the ultimate high, because you hear about people, you know, choking themselves, erotically choking themselves, to put them close to that, and many of them, unfortunately, aren't very accurate at what they're doing. But you know,
it's not a sensation I want to feel. I just want it to be done and over with quickly, or best solution in my sleep when I'm not even aware that it's happening.
Just a matter of acceptance. You know, I had a friend that I was visiting every Sunday. He had a beach. It took 3 months, and he had a lung disease that was fatal. And you know, he was young. He was 70 years old. I mean, we've been friends since I was in my 20s. And, you know, he accepted it. The only thing he said to me was, I wish I had 2 more years to see my kids graduate from college. But other than that, he was able to accept it and realize that this was inevitable.
What I'm worried about, still no phone call, you know. I'm sure if there was something terrible, I would hear about that too. But you know,
but she has no cell service. You said
there's no cell service.
Well, the hospital would.
The hospital, right? They have. Here's what they have. See, I mean, you have it on your, probably if you have a iPhone X like Rob does, you have a thing on your cell phone where you can use Wi-Fi to make the phone call. Okay.
Did you set her up on the Wi-Fi?
Well, I did, but here's the problem: if you don't use it for about 5 minutes, the Wi-Fi goes away.
Oh.
And so you then have to reinitiate it. Well, if she hasn't got it reinitiated and the phone doesn't have the Wi-Fi going, then I can't call her. Okay.
Oh, and the LTE doesn't work in that environment.
No, there is no cell service in the hotel. In the hospital. Wait a minute, I hit this. Uh-oh. Mark Green's having problems. Mark, I'm going to have to hang up on you because I can't. There's some problem tonight with some callers. Let me try calling him. Let's see here. Okay, let me see if we can. If he hears me ringing him, but we can attempt. Mark, if you're listening, you can. Oh, there you are. There you are, Mike. Mark, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, thank you.
I had to wind up calling you. That's why you probably heard me ringing or whatever. Do you have a cam?
I haven't called for a good long while, so everything looks different right now. So.
Oh, okay. Well, can you turn on your camera so we can see you?
Okay.
Yeah, Mark hasn't called in a while. It's good to see you, Mark, or hear you at least so far.
Last time was like a year ago, February.
Really?
Last February.
That long ago?
Yeah.
Wow. Why haven't you been calling?
Just because I go to bed at night. I go to bed earlier than this. Typically.
Oh, okay. All right.
You an East Coaster too?
Say what?
Are you an East Coaster like myself?
Yeah, I'm in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, it's good to have you here. We missed you. We almost have a full house. One more person and we'll have a full house. Yeah.
Once I find steady employment again, just I won't be calling in nearly as much because that eats up. Eats up my waking hours.
Well, then can I say
behind the wheel?
I hate to say this, but can we hope that you don't get steady employment then?
Well, if I could find a fucking job that would want people to work evenings,
Yeah.
that would be great.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. They want morning people.
Yeah.
And I am a morning person.
Yeah.
I just don't like waking up to go to work.
Hello to Kevin. How are you, Kevin?
Does that mean we have 10?
Alex and every.
Yeah, we have 10.
How are you?
With 10 with me, that's a full house. I should make a little thing that I can put up that says full house when we have it. You know, a little.
I used to.
Huh?
I used to have a piece of paper I held
Oh
up.
yeah, you had a piece of paper you used to hold up.
But yeah, I understand where Mark is coming from.
Well, what we haven't done in the last couple of nights, and hello, Ray. We didn't say hello to Ray. Ray's been very quiet tonight. Is there anything in the news that's worth talking about?
Wow, there's a lot in the news.
Same shit.
No, I'm saying worth talking about. That was the
You've got news headline 1, news headline 2, and news headline 3.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there was a the high five handshake between Putin and Prince Salman. Whatever he is.
Been face
trifecta of villains.
That was about a bizarre thing I ever seen.
Yeah, but did you see how cool they were and the way they did it? You know, I mean, that you don't expect that at
for a little, end zone dance. Or
would they do this afterwards?
Is this the same prince that the CIA has included?
Yeah.
Like I said, the
they looked at each other like
they both got away with murder.
Like we got Trump under our thumb.
What'd you say, Kevin? We didn't hear you.
They looked at each other like we got Trump under our thumb. What do we do next?
Oh boy, that's what they were high fiving. I didn't see that today because I was obviously preoccupied with other shit. But I did see that Trump decided he wasn't going to meet with Putin because of the Ukraine situation, which is awfully convenient because a couple of days ago he said he didn't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I thought he rescheduled it though, didn't he?
I think what he doesn't want is he doesn't want a photo op of him with Putin in the middle of the whole.
I don't know what the hell he wants.
His attorney came out. He said he lied to Congress. Michael Cohen lied to Congress about what Trump knew about dealing with Russia during the campaign.
I'll tell you what I know. I know that his attorney is a liar, and so therefore, why should you believe him on this and not on the other thing?
Who says they don't believe him? He was shilling for Trump.
Yeah, but what Trump wrote,
Giuliani.
You know the 15 questions that Trump submitted.
Well, I know the 4 questions. Why is this night different than all other nights? Why on this night do we recline instead of?
One of the questions coincided with
Cohen's
new testimony.
Coincided with Cohen's new testimony. Okay.
Well, so Cohen, when he came out and said this is the truth, actually confirmed what Trump had said. So Trump didn't put himself in a perjury position.
Why do you keep defending a criminal?
He's put himself in a perjury position every time he tweets.
Why don't you give him due process?
Oh my God!
He's not.
He's the one. He's incriminated himself so many times. It's ridiculous.
How about him dangling a pardon to Manafort?
He didn't.
Yes, he did.
He said, "Why would I take it off the table?"
He said nothing's off the table.
Yeah, why? No, he said, "Why would I take it?" No, he said, "Why would I take it off the table?" Phil.
Right. He's a negotiator.
He's abusing power. He's abusing the ultimate power of the president for his own gain.
Sit there like
How about what he did to GM?
Huh?
What he's done to GM? I mean,
he didn't do anything to GM. They gave GM money to stay in the States, and then they turned around and they fucked us. They
gave money to all the electric car companies. He's going to screw over all of them because
let me tell you
something. The ultimate deal maker.
I'm just telling you the truth.
Not buying.
Yeah, the ultimate deal maker. Right. Yeah.
The ultimate deal maker.
I'm not going to buy a GM car.
Yeah. Good for you, Phil. Good for you, Phil.
Good luck with that.
I'm going to buy one just to piss you off, and I don't need a car. What? Wait a minute. Rob was saying something.
I just said the ultimate deal maker. He's the art of the deal. Boy, he made some great ones.
The deal is not done. Those factories are not closed yet. The deal is not done.
Well, wait a minute. Can you explain, Phil? Just explain something to me. Now, you're a Republican, right? And
Yeah,
also,
I'm further
is
right than Republican.
as is Patrick, although it's hard to detect. But you're Republicans, and isn't it kind of a Republican conservative thing that you
10 years ago
you
it
don't
was,
try to tell business, you don't try to do stuff, putting tariffs on businesses and things like that. You don't interfere in trade.
We have a very unfair trade policy.
No.
with
Forget
China.
about China. I'm talking about here. When you say that, well, we may start putting some taxes on GM because they're moving.
No.
Closing.
He didn't put taxes. They were subsidies that were given to GM.
No, but he said he was going to do some stuff which would impinge on their doing business.
Yeah, well, if they
and
want to
isn't
bring
that
those
against
Mexicans-
Republican dogma?
Not necessarily. They made an investment,
Not
and
according to
GM was
paleo-conservatives, it isn't.
What? Not according to who? Wait a minute, Ryan.
Since I made that remark, I will explain it, but I also have something else to say that dovetails with this. One, as I was saying before, not according to a school of conservative thinking, paleo-conservatives, I've heard it referenced as, of which Pat Buchanan has been labeled as such when he doesn't kissing George W. Bush's ass, when he had his own opinions. He has spoken out vociferously against NAFTA in general, as well as.
But that's not what we're talking about, though. Here.
Well, we're talking about
what we're
tariffs,
talking about is he's been threatening GM because they're closing down these plants, and he's been threatening them economically.
And where are they going to open
now,
these
the
plants
question is, do you like your big government threatening big business?
If it achieves...
No, I'm not asking you, Brian. I'm asking Phil, because it goes against everything Republican.
Well, he made promises to the American people, which was to open up factories, to create jobs in America.
He's certainly doing that.
Well, hey, it ain't over till it's over. It ain't over till the fat lady sings.
But I also said not according to all Republican schools of thought, like the paleo-conservatives, like your Pat Buchanans and whatnot.
When you say paleo-conservatives, you're making them sound like they're
I am not. That's not a phrase I coined. That's not a phrase I coined.
They're a form of Neanderthal. Yeah, they're paleo.
Right.
We're talking about a school of conservative thought that predates Reagan-era economics, neoliberal Clinton-era economics.
That may not exist anymore.
Well, it used to as recently as 10 years ago. You had people who were saying, "Yeah, I'm a Republican, but I'm not a."
So did the Roman Empire.
Let the free market decide Republican.
So did the Roman Empire. But you want a free market.
Question, no, it doesn't. Not necessarily. Maybe
you want a free market, but when companies take monies to open things up and to create jobs, and then they turn around and they've got factories in Mexico, they didn't close them. They're closing the ones in the United States. Well, that doesn't set right with Trump, and you know what? I agree with him.
Yeah.
Let them close the ones in Mexico.
I think it's time for a paradigm
Mark
shift in
hasn't
general.
been here for about a year and a half, so let him say something. You got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean it's capitalism. If things don't make you, if you can make more money over there than you can make over here, you shut the one down here. Trump, everybody knows that. Trump promised the people. I live in Ohio. Trump promised the people of northeastern Ohio. He said, "Don't sell your houses. We're going to have more factories and bigger factories." Well, the government doesn't dictate that. That's socialist. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Phil,
Phil.
This. You either believe in capitalism or you don't.
No, there's no absolute. What do you mean you believe in this or you believe in that? It's not black and white.
No, capitalism.
It's a very gray world out there.
Altogether or not.
No. You're divisive. You're being divisive because what you're trying to do is you're trying to drive a wedge between what's good for the American people and some quasi-social structure that you believe is either black or white.
Okay,
You do the exact same thing.
Hold on a second, Ray. I'll get to you.
That's a social program. Yes, you do. You said that's not capitalism. That's socialism. So you pick the socialism you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ray had his hand up. Let's go to Ray. Oh, here comes Jason.
I just wanted to
royal
say
flush,
that,
ladies and gentlemen.
Trump has companies and interests where he's manufactured all kinds of things offshore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say that.
Royal flush.
Hello to Jason. Hi, Jason.
What's up?
What's up?
You got your royal flush.
Got a royal flush going here, folks. That's what it looks like. A royal flush.
I was going to take my computer into the bathroom, too, so I could flush the toilet, but I thought Phil had his soundboard hooked up.
I got to hook it back up.
God damn, such a slacker.
Yeah, such a slacker. Vernon, any thoughts from you?
I'm going to move the desk.
Any thoughts from you, Vernon, about this?
Yeah.
If rather than that, you could just, do it in Morse code.
Yeah, when I see an article.
He doesn't need a job. He's got Amway.
Yes, Jeff. Yes, Jeff.
Depot.
Okay, yeah. Here's the other
Jeff.
thing
Jeff has his hand up, Brian.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
I always look at this thing sometimes a little bit more pragmatically. From General Motors' perspective, they're not making any money on these. I'll call this Ohio facilities. I'm sure that's why they're doing it.
Well, you know why they're doing it is that the cars that they're building there aren't selling. And so, but they just tooled up. That Michigan plant just totally retooled. It was closed for a while.
Those companies.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the powertrain center on 9 Mile and Mound. I've been in there plenty of times for those, like 2 years. The place was empty. They're retooling the whole place. And then they're going to shut it down? How fucking stupid is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, not to mention the
I have a feeling that General Motors really screwed up on their plan for this 5 years or whatever, and all of a sudden they realize, holy shit, we're going to lose our ass on this.
Well,
thing.
supposedly part of the problem is they're not selling that many sedans now. And
right,
they're
selling SUVs and crossovers.
Yeah,
and also pickups.
Yeah,
trucks. The light trucks are big.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you know what? Tesla can't meet their production quotas for their new car, that $35,000 one. If this plant is already tooled to build a sort of a similar car, I wonder what it would take for Tesla to take that factory over and build the cars that they can't build right now.
The one in Michigan was designed to do powertrains. It wasn't due to.
It wasn't the electric. I thought it was the Volt.
No,
I thought it was the Volt and the Cruise.
Yeah, it's not like they can't retweak that and rework it too. Make Teslas. That's assuming, of course, Elon Musk can get his head out of his ass.
Well, I'll tell you something. It doesn't sound like I'm in the same ballpark when I'm talking about this. Why is my phone ringing?
Is it?
No, it isn't. I said, why isn't it? The thing was that the other day I read a thing. I get all these broadcasting newsletters and stuff. Hubbard Broadcasting, which is a major broadcaster, is letting a lot of people go. And I just wrote a quick note saying, when is the radio business going to understand that they have to change the way they do business? They have to change what they do. They have to reinvent themselves because, radio reinvented itself once before. When television came in, they started playing music, and later on they started doing talk shows. But now that's 50 years ago. There's a whole new dynamic out there, and you have to retool, and you have to come up with new ideas and not do things in the same way you have been doing them. And the same thing is true.
Fear, Alex.
The true.
My friend.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me take this.
Yeah.
Hold on. Hello. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Hi, Dr. Kleeman. Yeah.
It is cancer.
Okay, you're going to admit her overnight, and then I guess tomorrow during the. Okay, but she came through okay. It was easy, and it was okay. Yeah. Well.
Sorry, I thought it was Alex's doctor.
Yeah. Well, good. Thank you so much, Dr. Kleeman, and thanks so much for doing this so soon, so she doesn't have to be in pain anymore. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. Bye-bye. Well, she's out of. This is a great doctor. Some doctors will call you later on. I don't know when they finally got her in there, but he just said to me, we're just bringing her out of the anesthetic. So he was calling me while he just finised and was coming out of the anesthetic. How good a doctor is that?
Yeah. Really. Oh, not to get off the subject, but Kevin was talking about a machine that
Excuse me. Let me have a few moments of joy here.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Kevin was talking about a rehab machine that you put your leg in and it moves the leg back and forth.
Yeah.
And my Rolfer today, I asked him about the operation and so forth because he's actually his wife is a surgeon. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, he said that machine is what they primarily use for the rehab, and hopefully they'll send her home with one of those. And she'll be using that for a lot of her rehab because you have to keep the leg moving.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could be that they will recommend that to us, and but we'll take it a step at a time. But the doctor said that it went fine, and there were no problems at all, and we're bringing her out of the anesthetic now, and I'm going, boy, he hand me the phone, That's terrific. That made me very, very happy.
Now it's about 20 after 11 where you are?
Yeah.
And this guy's been working since when?
I would imagine he's been there since about noon today, maybe. I don't know when he started doing operations.
Probably before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he said that if he just finished it, 11:20, 10:20, 9:20. She probably went in about 9:20. So even if I had stayed there, I wouldn't have been there for her going in. So,
Yeah.
Here comes Bree. Oh boy, can I fit him in? That's the only problem.
Hey, so
I can't.
what happened, Alex? I'm out of the loop.
Bree, I can't take the call from you tonight because we have a royal
Marjorie
flush.
broke her knee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing what?
You want me to get off so you can let
no.
Stay,
Phil, don't worry. Bree, I'm sure understands. It's when we have 10 people, I just don't like to take more than that because I can't fit him in. Let me just put him on here for a second and just tell him.
Sure.
Bree, are you there? No, he's not even there. We don't even have him. Bree, are you there? Okay, well, I guess he's not there. All right.
Couldn't they call in?
But anyway, where was I?
About
Jason, you were asked, Bree. I'm sorry, Bree, we can't take the call because we have already, 10 people here, and to fit another person in,
I'm 11.
I can't do it. What? Well, it's 11 with me.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's the deal. Let me just quickly tell you, Jason. She got a tourist bumped into her from behind. She fell to the pavement and she broke her knee. All right.
Oh, see, if they would have built a wall, that tourist wouldn't have been there.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. And that happened on Monday, and luckily we were able to find a doctor who by today, because she was in dire pain, was going to operate on it. Now that she's had the operation, the only pain she's going to have is getting over the operation. So I'm so relieved.
Did they have to replace anything or just put it back together?
Bree just said okay. Thank you, Bree. I appreciate it. What?
I said, did they have to replace anything?
No. They had put a couple of screws in there and a figure 8 wire, I think he said, between the screws, and it holds the whole thing in place. And if in 8 months she's uncomfortable with the screws because there may be jutting out a little bit into her, whatever, he can go back in and just take the screws out because you put the screws in to get it to bind, right?
Yeah.
But
so let's talk about.
Wait a minute. Here comes Kevin. Here comes Kevin.
Have that done that quickly.
Oh, Kevin. Well, yeah. What is that?
These are the screws that they put in.
Yeah.
And this could be the T-bar that they put in, but these are the kind of screws that they put in.
Oh, okay.
Are those the ones that you had in you, or?
Yeah, these are all the ones that were in my ankle.
No, God. I seem to get the idea there were only going to be 2 screws. But I'm not sure of that.
Hey, so the doctor must have been a Republican because they're pretty quick to put the screws to you.
Yeah, that's right. That's
That's true. But they do, like you said, I don't know if you can see the reflection there, but they got this thread type on there. They lock, and sometimes these type of threads supposedly don't back out, but sometimes they will.
Yeah.
And that's what he was talking about when they come out.
Yeah.
If they get uncomfortable over time.
Yeah.
And the bone will push them out too.
Oh, okay. By the way, Bree just wrote another a note to me, and he said that in Dubai, the doctors make house calls.
Probably not surgery though.
No.
No, actually, I think that's where they prefer to do surgeries. At the house.
Listen, it would have been wonderful.
Hey,
it would have been wonderful.
Take a phone call from my daughter. If Bree wants to call in, I'll jump off. Does Bree want to call?
Bree, if you want to call, Kevin has to take a call from his daughter.
So I'll jump off. And
so he'll jump off, Bree, and you can jump on from Dubai if you want to. Okay.
I'll keep listening, but
Alex just took a call from the doctor. We can all just take calls.
Yeah, right.
I'll get back on if I can. If not, have a good weekend.
Thanks, Kevin. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bree, if you're listening, you can call. You're welcome to call now because we now have room for you on this rather large panel.
But Alex didn't jump off because he's on the 8th floor.
I see. Yeah. Bree, okay. No, he said. No, Bree, yes. Call.
Yes.
We just got rid of Kevin for you. We made room for you on the panel. So remove this person from the group. Okay. So call. Come on, Bree. Come on, call us. Anyway, where was I? So
good news.
One question of clarification, Alex. What Marjorie broke was she cracked her patella, right?
I guess that's what she broke. Yeah.
The kneecap.
The
kneecap.
Yeah. And it was he said a break across the width of it or whatever. And it was just broken. And supposedly it got shattered a little bit, but not a lot. So it's not going to be. It's going to be. It's a rough rehab. She's going to have to do a lot of physical therapy. And what just bothers me is that 8 months of absolute grief and work because somebody in a matter of seconds knocked you over when they weren't looking.
That's life.
Did the woman or the person who ran her over explain what happened? Was there an explanation?
I don't know. And neither does Marjorie, I don't think. Because the whole thing, when things like that happen to you, you don't sit around paying great attention to what people are saying. The woman
sounds like a hit and run.
She didn't run.
The woman stuck around, helped her along with Marjorie's one of Marjorie's bosses, or one of her co-workers, I should say, who helped her back to the office. And the woman kind of joined them for a little way and was concerned.
Nobody had the state of mind to get her number and her name.
Right. And I would have done that. I would have suggested doing that if I were there, but she didn't, and I can see why. I mean, she just fell down. She hurt her knee. She's concerned with that. You're not concerned with the name of the person who did it.
And the person who did it is going, whoo.
Well,
yeah,
it's flu now. Yeah,
what would you do? What could you really do?
That person might have insurance, like a homeowner's insurance or something. That
homeowners want to be about personal liability.
Liability on the
homeowners.
Well,
let's say, and I think we probably will have to put out some money here. Not a lot, but we'll have to put out some money. Maybe a couple $100. Maybe $1,000. I don't know.
What if she can't return the work right away?
Well, what I'm saying is, if that were the case, this woman could use her homeowner's insurance or whatever, to help take care of it. Like but because we don't know who it was, we're never going to be able to, do anything.
A lot of times people have an umbrella policy that handles that liability if something like that happens.
Yeah. I have one of those.
Yeah.
Want to borrow mine?
Let me ask you something, Phil. How do you like your trash can, your Mac Pro?
I like it. It's a lot faster when I'm adjusting Lightroom things. Like it's almost instantaneous. When you change a setting, you see it happen real time. Whereas with the even though that Mini was fast,
it's not that
there was
fast.
a lot of lag. Compared to this. And what I'm going to do for another $500, I can get rid of the 16 gig memory and change it to 64.
Because I was looking on eBay, and there are quite a few companies that guarantee them 100%. And I'm wondering if it's good to buy it there, because for $3,200 I can get a 64K, 64 gig of memory with a 1 terabyte flash drive.
How many core?
12 core.
12 core. Oh, buy it right away. I have a 6 core.
Yeah.
The 12 core, you could produce. Movie studios use those kinds of things. Pixar
and it's only something like $3,200.
Yeah, I paid $2,000, but I bought it from a friend.
Yeah.
And it's got a 2 terabyte drive. A flash SSD.
I'm putting a question out there for the audience. If anybody has the answer, write me. I don't want an answer right now. But I have certain apps on my current computer that I want to take over to my new computer that I can't download anymore because they're not available any longer. Okay, that I need.
You put them on the time machine?
Is there any way I can make those work? And how do I kind of upgrade? Because, see, the trouble is with these new Macs is they only have the flash memory. They don't have hard drives in them. So I can't have like a 4 terabyte hard drive and say, okay, let's do a backup to that drive of my main drive. How do you do that?
I have 2 4 terabyte drives right there.
Yeah.
And I have a 64 terabyte drive, the Drobo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
And so I got all the memory in the world.
No, that's not the question I'm asking, and I don't want an answer now anyway, because that would be very boring broadcasting.
I don't know how many programs.
But how do I get the backup from that machine onto a new machine? Now I got to tell you, I went out the other day and I bought something at Costco that I couldn't believe: an 8 terabyte a 3.0 USB drive, which is fast. Okay. Yeah. 8 terabytes rather, for $119.
Wow.
So those I can use for this new system, but I want to know how do I make it emulate the current system?
You got to be careful with those.
Why?
Well, I bought one too, an 8 terabyte, 149 over the summer.
Yeah.
But I read online there's a guy who does a lot of photography, and he moves around a lot. So, and he says that unit just crashed on him.
They're not reliable. They're not. I wouldn't use them for backup. They're good for primary, but they go bad. Even the high end ones. We put them in servers.
Yeah.
A lot of times for people who run like hypervisors, like a VMware hypervisor is small, and they don't want to spend the money for hard drives to put in the servers, so they get these USB keys, and the operating system's loaded on those keys. So when the machine boots, it boots the hypervisor off of that. Those things go bad frequently.
Yeah, this is like a Seagate,
Yeah, I don't care what brand it is. They go bad.
But that isn't my question really so much as it is. How do I get the basic configuration of my computer from my backup? It won't all fit on a 1 terabyte flash drive. So how do I get it so that it goes to other drives as well? What?
Can you just take certain information from your backup and put it on other drives so that you can separate it, and then just put the programs itself on the
I'll have to play around with that and see. Because there's one program that I use to post these shows that went out of business, and it's the only really good one I've ever used for doing what they call RSS files or XML files. But anyway, if anybody has an answer for me on how you do a backup from an old machine onto a new machine that only has 1,000, 1 terabyte of flash memory, and you've got at least a 4 terabyte main drive, although it isn't all filled with
why do you want something as powerful as that 12 core?
Well, as long as I can afford it, I may as well do it, right?
Yeah, but do you need it? I mean,
I need it. I'm a power user when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah. I just didn't like seeing the sliders. You slide it and then you waited 3-4 seconds for something to happen. I wanted it to happen in real time.
Yeah, and that's what would happen here, and why not? But if it's a 12 core and it's got 1 terabyte, it's fully loaded. It's like
right.
It's like
those
like Apple took a dump.
That movies. Those are the kinds of things that movie studios would use.
Radio for one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that unit new was what, 10 grand, 12 grand?
I'd say it was somewhere around 12 grand. Yeah. But they guarantee it 100%. This one company, and the one company has on eBay has great ratings too. So, I don't know that you can go wrong, because I found with Macs, believe it or not, they hold up really well. They may get old because the technology gets old, but like this Mac Pro I have here, still running strong, and I bought it in 2011.
Well, my trash can's a 2014.
Well, it's a 2013, because
13.
The last time they made it was 2013. It's they may still be making them, but they call them a 2013. If one just came off the assembly line, it's a 2013.
Yeah, that's when the technology. That's how old the technology is. Mm-hmm. Even though the unit might be
late 2013. Mine's a 3.5 gigahertz 6-core. 16 gig, and I've got a real fast.
And by the way, the other thing that Apple hasn't done with those new ones is they haven't. There is no audio input on them. You have to use a USB.
That's because radio is dead.
Well, I mean, no, but you have to use a USB input.
I don't know that. What kind of audio input are you looking for?
I'm looking for an audio input that I take the jack and I put the audio in.
Like not a quarter, but an 1/8 inch.
A Motorola jack?
Motorola? Small Motorola.
The Motorola jack.
I don't think mine has that.
Actually, mine. Wait a minute. Hold on. Mine uses Sylvania jacks.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It used to have a Raytheon plug, but it doesn't have it anymore.
It's not a jack off, huh?
Yeah.
I think that I've either got a Thunderbolt or a or USB. I'll look at the back.
How do you get your audio, your analog audio, into that machine?
What I have is this Behringer thing, and the USB plugs into that, and then I have analog jacks that come out of that into the board.
Okay, so that's probably what I got to do, something like that. But
it's $29 for that. It was, who told me about those? Was Miranda.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to what's going on in the world. I'll tell you what I'm getting sick of. Okay, I'm sick to death of MSNBC.
I heard their ratings are up,
and I'll tell you why. Because I just can't stand that every hour it's the same fucking show. They will take one film clip of Donald Trump standing on the lawn about ready to hit the helicopter and keep running that clip at the top of every show for the next 12 hours. And then they get another three people sitting around discussing it. And then they change topics and get another 3 people discussing that. And it's the most boring television I've ever seen in my life. I gotta ask the question: isn't there other fucking stuff going on in the world, that we don't know about, that we got to go to BBC to find out about?
Alex.
Who's talking?
Just really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
I like to. I know you don't like them. I know this, but I do occasionally watch the Young Turks, and they last night they do this whole thing on just U.S. politics, current U.S. politics, and they have, I don't know if you follow, but they've dropped all their entertainment programming and they're just going political, and it's just getting so boring now because they just keep repeating the same things. It's like it's like a dog with a bone.
Well,
and they're guilty of it too.
Also, they're all guilty of one very basic sin, and that is if Trump doesn't like you, why do you have to give him any extra added publicity? Why
it's the
not
low-hanging fruit?
Well, yeah, why not ignore Trump until he says something or does something that's important, rather than every little whim that he has every day, because every time he does a tweet, he goes, how will this stir up the news? And so all you've got on these news channels now is really, we could just call them Trump television. Because if it isn't a Trump story about Trump and Argentina, it's then Cohn. The next story is about Cohn, and the next story is about what's his name, the guy that was the head of his election committee. I mean, it's just, and then when the hour's over, you go, was there anything here that didn't have to do with Trump? You know,
yes, Mark.
Yes. Who had their hand up first? Ray, did you have your hand up first, or did Brian? Let's go to Brian, then we'll go to...
I just said something.
Well, let's go to Ray first. Ray and then Brian.
I just wanted to say there's a BBC app, news app, and I have it on my iPhone. It's really good. And I get to see all the news that's happening all around the world, and there's just usually one or two things about the U.S. on the front page. And there's stuff all about everything else.
Well, I see a story on BBC, for instance, one day about the resurgence of Nazi youth in Germany, you know. That's an important story, but I didn't see it anywhere on American television because...
I saw that on CNN.
Did you see it on CNN?
It's happening in Poland, too.
Yeah. Anyway...
They did give it so little airtime, usually.
Yeah.
You know, just a mention.
Yeah. Brian.
Yeah. Three things. One, I don't like MSNBC anymore on account of the fact that they're too corporate and neoliberal. Two, Bree, you should check out the Jimmy Dore show. And three, if you want to,
who the fuck is Jimmy Dore?
Giving Trump attention, much like the kids at South Park start giving Eric Cartman
who the fuck is Jimmy? Who the fuck is Jimmy Dore?
He's right next to the gate.
Is he right next to Bob Window?
Look him up. Alex.
Is this another just another soothsayer that we got in the wind here?
Well, look up Jimmy Dore, look up Chris Hedges. They'll tell you that the Democratic Party is almost just as corrupt as the guy we have in the White House.
I was saying that all the time. I was saying that all the time over at Sirius, and that's why I don't have a job anymore.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You've got other people who would back you up on that.
Yeah.
Maybe get in touch with these people. Have like Chris Hedges on your program or something.
No, no thanks. I'll go it alone, you know. But I just, you know.
Oh, I like RT as well. I watch that.
Well, if you like the Russians, you know.
Well, how is that any more pro-Russian propaganda any more than the BBC is pro-British propaganda?
Yeah, wait a minute. You're dealing in whataboutism. The fact is, it's all wrong. Okay, I'm not going to watch RT because they have said their stated mission is to proselytize and do propaganda for the Soviet Union, for Russia, and there's no question about that. And so my point is, why should I watch that? And yes, if you say somebody else's propaganda for that country or this country, why should I watch them too? You know.
So you get the whole picture from all sides.
Okay, Ray.
The answer.
I think Ray had his hand up first, then Jason. Yes, Ray, then Jason.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I watch the BBC and I read it, and also the French news when I can, when my wife can translate for me. And they're sort of like we used to be here 10, 20 years ago, where they actually do try to remain neutral. And it hasn't become like our news yet, as far as I can tell. It doesn't seem to me like it's as biased as propagandized as MSNBC and Fox and all that. I don't see
But
it.
that's not news. If you want news, you got to tune into the networks and the 6 o'clock evening news. That is the way it's been for the past 50 years.
That's true. That's true.
And they try to be unbiased. I mean, they're probably the least biased of all the news operations out there. I mean, if you watch Lester Holt doing NBC News, you're not going to see the same preponderance of political agenda that you see at MSNBC. All right. Yes.
So did you see
Jason.
or did you talk about at all with the Prince of Saudi Arabia high-fiving?
Yeah, we mentioned that earlier. I didn't see it, but he high-fived Putin.
He was smiling.
Dude, it was such a, yeah, I whacked him, you whacked him, yeah, let's go.
Sad.
It was just, it was funny. It was just like, it's two heads of states, Hey, that's what it was about.
We're living in a very
got 20 sailors that'll trade for what's his name's body, the journalist's body.
What?
Putin took 20 sailors and a bunch of ships, and he's willing to trade.
For what?
For Khashoggi.
For Khashoggi's body? It's in pieces somewhere.
Right. Yeah. Well,
and by the way, they dismantled his body while he was still alive.
Is that what the tape
That's
showed?
what the high five was all about.
That's what the high five is all about, yeah.
Well, Putin was just saying, hey, you're learning. You did good, kid.
It's funny.
That's what it was about.
It's funny. I saw a movie the other night. I love, I like Turner Classic Movies. Occasionally I go over there because there's something on playing, and it's an old film, and it's just kind of nice to see black and white, And it was a Warner picture, and I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was about this person in the Mideast or something doing something or another, and it was kind of a mystery thing. And the town he was in was Aleppo.
Really?
Yeah, it was Aleppo. Now it was Aleppo in Hollywood, but it was Aleppo. They had a big sign at the train station, Aleppo.
Welcome to Aleppo.
Welcome to Aleppo. Yeah.
Yeah.
That, of course, being, as you know, the 6 Marks brother. So.
Yeah. And Zeppo.
That's the last time I'll do that joke. I think it's kind of gotten whiskers on.
A little bit old.
Yeah. I got Zeppo right here.
Oh no, that's a Zippo. That's a Zippo. But I mean, I just and the other thing that bothers me, by the way, as long as I mention Lester Holt, is there we go, Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is a good news organization, great news organization. But anyway, the thing about Lester Holt that drives me nuts, and it's probably true of all the other newscasts at night, the network newscasts, is that at the end of the show, for about the last 7 minutes, they're all feel-good stories. Little Tommy wanted a kitty, and he got a kitty for Christmas. And, a fireman saved a cow. I don't know. It's just these feel-good stories for 7 minutes. And I'm going, wait a minute. This is a half-hour newscast, of which there's only really a palpable amount of 21 minutes worth of news time, because the rest is commercials for heart medicine and cancer cures. All right, and
cancer
so
cures will make you last.
So that leaves you with 21 minutes, and now you're taking 7 minutes out, which is about a quarter of that, And what are you doing with it? Well, you're playing feel-good filler stories. Give me some fucking news. Leave with a story that maybe makes me think. Not.
Do you know why? Do you know why they started using wrestling on TV? Because it was cheap and it was filler. And that's.
Worse. You know what these stories are most of the time? I can see a story that Lester Holt talks about, and then there was this crash and blah, 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 and then I will go on YouTube, and it's a YouTube clip.
Wow.
And they're playing clips from YouTube and passing them off as news. So I mean,
it's inexpensive.
Where do we get our information anymore? There's, I mean, if you're going to be as snarky as Brian is on all of this, yeah, every country has an agenda. Every news organization has an agenda. So who are you to believe?
Israel Today.
I liked Al Jazeera America when it was on the air.
I liked Al Jazeera. Everybody got them all wrong as a news organization. The problem with Al Jazeera, at least in the Mideast, is they hate them in the Mideast because they were the people who, for instance, were against really reporting how bad Saddam Hussein was to his own people.
They made Al Gore rich.
How did
they bought his network?
Oh, they bought his old network. Yeah.
Well, weren't they pro Saudi Arabia though?
Was it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. No, that was the one thing is that Al Jazeera wasn't pro. And correct me on this, Bree, because you live in that part of the world. But that wasn't a problem, really, to tell you the truth. No. They, in fact, were, I think, disliked by the Saudis. Do you know anything about this, Jason or Bree?
Yeah. Right now, Al Jazeera is blocked in Saudi Arabia and in the UAE.
Okay, so there's the answer to your question about whether they're pro-Saudi Arabia.
But why isn't the Saudi Arabian and Yemen issue not being broadcast a lot more right now? Because there's a lot of shit going on in Yemen.
When you say that,
it's the Iranians.
There you go. When you say everybody always wants to link Saudi Arabia,
because they're the one dropping the bombs.
No, it's the Iranians that are.
The Iranians and the Yemens are the same side.
No, they're not.
Yes, it's basically Iran. It's a proxy war between Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
it always has been
in Yemen.
But the reason that the Saudi is there trying to hold up the elected government, and the Iranians are there trying to throw it over.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So that's why the Saudi Arabians bombed a bus of children.
I think never made collateral damage. I mean,
collateral damage. Fuck, man, you need to readjust your scope if that's your collateral damage. Is you're bombing.
Yeah, but it's okay with you. I'll give you a whataboutism. It's okay. It's okay if the from Gaza they throw in 1,000 bombs and they bomb kids in Israel, but. I mean, we're dealing with animals.
They don't bomb kids in Israel. They bomb anybody. Come on, they're not discriminatory.
Just
unoccupied
like
property, unoccupied land.
Well, if the Saudis would buy our good weapons, they would be more accurate, and they could just hit the Iranians.
Other people's land.
Or it's okay for the neoliberal left to fall asleep when someone like Hillary Clinton, if she were president, to have expanded on Obama's policy of expanded drone strikes in other countries, of which I would have just been as critical of her as I am of Trump about these.
So instead of being able to control
but I'm not a
robot from afar, you should have to be in that robot right on top of it. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Mark, you got any comment on all this? Because you've been a little quiet there, and for not having been on for a year and a half, I think we should hear what you have to say.
Yeah, there's no Iranian bombers in Yemen. There's no reason that we're supporting the Saudis other than
we're selling weapons to them.
And Trump wanted to build a hotel there.
And that was a big high five between Putin and the Prince of Saudi, because it's like, hey, if the U.S. stops selling you the weapons, we got your back. We're right here.
I can't believe that we are not universally opposed to a guy that cuts a guy to pieces and puts him, dissolves him in acid.
He's going to give us a lot of money.
Why are we not universally opposed to that?
Because he's going to give us a lot of money.
Wait a minute, Rob, let Rob talk. Rob?
I said because he's going to give us a lot of money. Trump expects that he's going to spend a lot of money here. So
$14 billion.
Almost every administration has been in the same sort of predicament with one country or another, even Saudi Arabia, but they quietly they quietly continue to support Saudi Arabia when these things were going on.
They stand up for those things that are unjust,
they're
like
hypocrites.
human rights. No, they have to work with them. They realize they have a relationship with these countries, and they deal with them on certain levels, but they come out and they condemn these kind of actions. They don't give them the green light or look the other way. Yes, we want to sell them. Yes, we have commerce with other countries, but we always stand up for human rights.
Yes, but Trump is saying that it's not definitive. It's not definitive that Khashoggi ordered that he
how
was
many
ordered.
does it take?
It doesn't matter how many it takes. We don't have all we have.
1,000 Americans.
All we have is leaked information.
He doesn't trust his own CIA. He doesn't trust his own.
Yeah, I mean, when the CIA says it, you can pretty much take it to the bank.
Not Trump. He doesn't believe anything.
Pretty much
the community
take it to the bank. They said the same thing about the Iraq and the
Phil,
weapons of mass
let me just
destruction.
ask you a question.
Trump
do you think, from what you've read and from what you've heard,
to the Senate.
from what you've heard, and what you've been able to ascertain, do you think the Crown Prince had a part in Khashoggi, whatever, his murder?
I don't know.
Really? Well, I think then you're the last person in America who can give me that answer.
No, the other person is Trump.
All we have is the video of them going in and hamburgers.
Why is this funny? Why is this funny to Phil?
What do you mean? Why is it funny? Because the news is funny. What the situation is
nothing funny about this.
You don't jump to conclusions. I've already seen thousands of lives.
The guy went in to get a license to get married. He got cut into pieces and dissolved in acid.
He would have been cut into pieces anyway.
You laugh
after he got married.
But he does have a point. He does have a point, Phil.
Name me a country who hasn't done it.
Right. And the Americans just sit back. They pay lip service.
You want to act like we're so good? We do this.
We do this
shit every day.
We're
so
holier
Wait a minute.
Trump is the first one that said the way it really is.
But no matter what you say, hold on a second. No matter what you say, Phil, and I have to agree with Mark, and that is, still, there is nothing funny about what happened to Khashoggi, and it's nothing that we should countenance, and we know who did it, and the CIA knows who did it, and the Turks know who did it. They have video of it, and yet, Trump, because I guess maybe in the future he wants to build a hotel in Saudi Arabia, doesn't believe it.
Yeah, well, Trump is saying that he doesn't have the smoking gun. And you know what? We've seen thousands of Americans die in the Iraq War, and we've spent trillions of dollars over a war that we were told that there were weapons of mass destruction, and they were sure about it. And the CIA knew, and this one knew, and that one knew. But meanwhile, we spilled blood, and there were no weapons of mass destruction. And it may be the same thing.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you turn around and tell me it's good that Saddam Hussein is dead.
The only ones who were sure of it, Phil, was Rumsfeld and Cheney. They were the only ones who were absolutely sure that they had weapons of mass destruction.
We got information from all sorts of
well,
things.
We got to get it. We got to get it. That's a whole. That's a whole nother.
That was a bullshit story that was debunked.
That was a whole. That's a whole nother night of stories.
It took 17
all
years,
right.
billions of dollars.
All right.
See, we should bomb Israel.
Oh God! Can I close this show off, please? Thank you. I want to thank Rob. I appreciate it, Rob. Patrick, always love having you here. Jeff, good having you here. Good on you, Ray. Hey, Jason, I wish you could do it more often because you're really you participate very well. Phil Meyer, thank you so much. Also, Mr. Oh boy, Null. Thank you.
Vernon.
Vernon. And Brian, thank you so much, Mr. D. Ludwig. Mark, make it more often than every year and a half, okay? Because we love you.
Every year, every Christmas.
Every Christmas. And Bree, thank you so much. That he's over there in Dubai. I'd like all of you to give a big wave goodbye to the studio audience out there so that they can, yeah, that's it. There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the citizen panel. What amounted to a royal flush. That's when we have, 10 other people plus me. So that makes 11 people all at once. Gets a little difficult on the old Bennett to keep that kind of road jam going. But anyway, that's it for tonight. I'm so happy that Marjorie is out of harm's way and she's out of the operating room. And thanks to everybody who's been sending us notes and telling us how their thoughts and wishes are with us. Next is Jack Bishop with The Intersection at 1 o'clock. There'll be connections. We're back again Tuesday right after Damian Chaplin has the exchange with our program at 10. Same time, same station in life. And as always, especially if you're at the hospital right now and she's comatose, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody.